Before we even get into the video, I want to thank all of you so much for the support and for finally getting me to 100 subs. This is going to be the beginning of something special. I'm sure of it. What's going on, guys? My name is Explicit Sage, keeping it 100, your very own Zen Sensei, for your gaming, anime, and manga discussion needs. Today's agenda is Tekken 7. Now, guys, Tekken 7 is a game that I've been looking forward to playing for a very long time now. As you guys know, I am a patient gamer, so I usually wait a couple of years before I pick up a game that I'm really interested. And this is mainly for two main reasons. Firstly, by the time I finally play the game, I'm guaranteed a smooth and high quality experience because at this point, all the bugs and glitches have been long fixed and honestly resolved. By the time I play the game, I'll be playing the experience that the devs had originally intended us customers to play. And the second reason is content and price. The price one is easiest, of course. The older the game is, the cheaper it is. But these days, the most important part is definitely getting all the content in one silky smooth package. Unfortunately, because of the internet these days, unfortunately, a lot of gaming companies have become quite greedy and are always looking for any way to get a quick buck out of us customers. So these guys make sure and make a big bag of the post-launch content. So by waiting a few years, you can actually get all the content you want in one good and affordable package. It's genuinely the best ways to fight back these greedy cash cows like EA and Ubisoft games, which definitely exploits the customers to a great level. Now, unfortunately, Tekken, Bandai Namco, PlayStation, all of those guys have unfortunately taken a similar route in this stage, with post-launch content including classic characters we already love, held back by an expensive paywall. Back in the day, such characters would be unlocked by being good at the game and by playing it a lot. I should be rewarded for good gameplay, not by how fat my wallet is. In total, since the release of Tekken 7 in 2015, there have been 6 different editions of the game released. 7 including the standard edition. So it's the standard edition, the deluxe edition, ultimate edition, rematch edition, legendary edition, originals edition, and the most recently released that actually has all the content, the definitive edition. Now, a lot of gamers will notice this and they'll just pick a version that seems to be the newest or just the standard edition, and maybe they'll later realize there's actually quite a bit of content that I'm missing out on, and they'll end up buying and paying a whole lot extra cash in paying for that content in game. Now, guys, I make note of this because I want to call this out. You guys may not see it, but this is definitely a shameless cash grab.
Here comes the money.
It's very important for us as gamers to be able to notice and point out business practices that puts the customers in a disadvantageous position. Now, understand that we all gotta make some paper, we all gotta make some bread, of course. We gotta make a living, of course. But the way things are handled is definitely a way to breed confusion and to generate more and more funds. Take note of the latest definitive edition of the game. This is the one that I got. It's got all the DLC content. Now pay attention, if I didn't wait about 8 years, I wouldn't be able to get everything in one package. Now, of course, granted, you guys can easily argue and say, yo bro, the devs have been working hard to keep giving the game a consistent flow of content. They need to be paid their dues for that content. But I'll say cast your mind to the customers that got Tekken as soon as it was released. Think of the people that paid an exuberant amount of money for the multiple different editions that came out before times. Those guys definitely got the short end of the stick, because even though they paid a huge amount of money to get Tekken 7, they completely have missed out on this new content. And if they want to delve deeper into the new content, which includes a whole lot more content, including stages, characters, and a whole lot of other stuff, they're gonna need to pull out more money from their wallet. Now currently, you can only procure 3 versions of Tekken 7. The standard edition, the original edition, which just comes up with a few characters and a couple of other stuff and cosmetics, and the cumulative definitive edition. I would definitely recommend you guys only get the definitive edition as it has all the extra characters, skins released, and even some older costumes from classics such as Tekken 5. Note guys, I've spent a lot of time on this, perhaps a little bit too much. But unfortunately, money looks to be a pivotal issue to why the game fails to take off into the stratosphere. Now lads, before I get right into my review of the game, I just need to give you guys a wee bit of context, make you guys understand where I'm coming from in terms of this review and my overall experience and history with Tekken. Now, I want you guys to know that I am absolutely a Tekken veteran. I've been playing these games for years. I started off with Tekken 4 as a youngin. I played, it was those free demos that we were able to get on the old PlayStation 2 demo discs. Back in the day when I first got my PlayStation 2, I had absolutely no games, but it came out with a couple of cool discs that had a number of demos, had a cool number of demos, and a couple of other things that were on those discs. You know, this takes me all the way back. You know, as I said, has a couple of demos and some trailers for some old classic games in all one discs. In total, I think I had 3 or 4. These came out recently when the PlayStation 2 was definitely on the newer side. Nostalgia is definitely hitting hard. But I'll be honest with you guys, I truly fell in love with Tekken when way back in the day my mother finally went out and got me
the King of Iron Fist Tournament 5. Steve Fox.
Gents, that game is without a doubt one of the best games on PlayStation 2 with a large amount of content to enjoy. The story mode is heat, great characters tales, and had a decent story with multiple cutscenes that go 2 to 3 cutscenes you'd get throughout 8 to 9 battle stages. So for every single character tale, you'd be delivered a decent amount of content. On top of that, we were also given the Devil Within minigame, which was a whole lot of fire. Back then, when I was a kid, I was a little bit scary because it seemed very dark. But of course, we've gotten older and we've gotten past that. So we used to play that and have a whole lot of fun with my cousins playing as Devil Jin. It was very cool to be able to play as Devil Jin in this cool fighter platformer. It was definitely a great time. And you know, thanks to the arcade mode included, I was able to play all the original Tekken games. So this was essentially a very good package, as we were able to play all these classic Tekken games. Tekken 1, Tekken 2 and Tekken 3. Those games were my childhood, guys. Then, of course, some time passed. Then later I eventually picked up Tekken 6 and Tekken Tag 2, and this package actually also included Soul Calibur 5, I think it was. It was this very cool fighting game bundle, and it all came together in this very cool, very affordable bundle. Tekken 6 was a decent game. The scenario campaign was fresh and interesting. You know, it seemed unnecessary, in my honest opinion, to make Lars a Mishima, but it is what it is. The story was decent, and the new approach was definitely appreciated. Unfortunately, this was a huge give and take. It was cool to have a good canon story of substantial length, but due to this, all the individual story campaigns became less developed and unfortunately a little bit bare bones. Compared to Tekken 5, you'd have a little bit more content, but in Tekken 6, you'd perhaps only have about 3 battles, I think it was, and only 1 ending cutscene for each character after you defeat Azazel, the final boss. Now, of course, I know this is a fighting game, and many of you guys don't even really care about the story. But guys, I do. You have to remember that context and an interesting narrative is what actually evokes the emotions of the player and makes them more invested in the entire experience. Now, personally, I let this slide in Tekken 6 as the scenario campaign made up for the lack of development in the individual storylines. Now enter Tekken Tag Tournament 2. This is without a doubt my favorite Tekken game since 5. It's truly a great title. There's something special I really like about the game. What comes to mind is that it's got heart. This game has a lot of heart. True love and attention was put into this game. In terms of performance, visuals and gameplay, this was the pinnacle of Tekken. You know, Tag 2 is arguably as well the best looking game on PlayStation 3. Arguably even better looking than The Last of Us and GTA 5. I know this is surprising, but if you have a PlayStation 3 console and have the opportunity to be able to play Tekken Tag 2, I'm not sure, and maybe if you have PS Now, you can go ahead and give Tekken Tag 2 a try, because it is definitely still a really great experience, and I definitely recommend you go out and at least look at the great visuals that are in that game. Now, I feel like Tag 2 was the original Tekken experience perfected. They'd had years to make these great amount of games, and they have the experience, the love, the passion, and everything, and all the tools that they need, experience with the PlayStation 3 as well, to be able to create a special experience. Now guys, for me, I'd never played the original Tekken Tag tournament, so this was fresh and new for me. The visuals in the arenas were great, the visuals were honestly breathtaking, and the character designs were superb. I felt that they were able to really improve on the way they looked, taking advantage of the modern technology. Now lads, even though the game isn't canon, the win poses, the character endings really showed so much of the characters' personalities. They also provided a lot of free content after the release of the game, including characters such as Prototype Jack, a practice that has unfortunately been replaced with expensive purchasable DLC. Now enter Tekken 7. Now no guys, I need you guys to know that Tekken Tag Tournament 2 absolutely blew me away. So with the game being on PS4, I thought the only direction that they could possibly go was up. Improvements have definitely been made, but in total, it's been honestly a substantial regression in terms of quality. Let's get right into it. And firstly, I'll consider the gameplay. Tekken is an arcade fighting game that's a whole lot of fun, easy to get into, but hard to master, how every game should be. It's best that you choose a main and get good with your favorite character. Mine personally is the boxer, Steve Fox. He's extremely fast, and because of that, his time to kill is quick. You can block, and there are a lot of hold and special moves that you can execute. A very intricate combo system, and you definitely need to grind those combos. But before I continue with the gameplay, I want to talk about the new mechanics introduced exclusively for Tekken 7, particularly Rage Art, Rage Drive, and Power Crushes. I'll go into detail about how I feel about all of these things, honestly. Now guys, Rage was a mechanic first introduced in Tekken 6 to allow players who are at a low health to be able to catch up and possibly recover from being completely demolished. Now personally, I'm not a huge fan of the mechanic. Personally, I don't think your character should get stronger for being at low health. You know, this isn't a single player RPG. Excellence should be rewarded more than anything. It wasn't too much of an issue in 6, but it's definitely a lot more troublesome here in Tekken 7. Mainly, it's for two reasons. But before I do that, I need to explain what Power Crushes are and the way that they're executed and why they're so troublesome. The way Tekken used to work was that whoever is fastest and hits you first will do the damage, and the other attack is cancelled out. Power Crushes, Rage attacks have completely changed that dynamic. Power Crushes and Rage attacks disregard the formula. The attack will continue regardless whether you take damage or not. The player executing the move will still take damage, but their incoming attack won't be stopped. This has the ability to completely change the situation for a battle, because it's usually either a power attack that knocks you down, or it's a launcher that completely tosses you high into the air. Why is this important, and why is it possibly bad? A rage attack or power crushes can be executed mid-attack, so if your opponent is about to hit you, If you time it correctly, the speed of your character kind of becomes irrelevant. If your opponent can juggle, the match is already over, because once you've got someone in the air and know how to juggle competently, you can do a huge amount of damage. And if you're good at combos, no, not even that. If you cram one combo that will keep you in the air and keep you juggled, you've completely won the match. I make note of this as this changes the entire game if you spam power crushes and juggle. A low skill player can easily dominate. The video game cheese will trump better players. The only solace is that these moves at least can be completely blocked. But personally, I feel that they detract from the Tekken combat model. There is also a new mechanic that has also been added alongside the new Rage Art, Rage Drive and Power Crushes. It's the assists. This is an added mechanic, but as I said before, it's much better for excellence to be rewarded. New players shouldn't get a cheat code to do cool moves. Learn to play the game. But I understand the incentive to make the game easier for new players. Other than that, Tekken is essentially the same game as before, with some new added characters, some new crossover characters, such as Akuma from Street Fighter and Noctis from Final Fantasy 15. The gameplay is as solid as ever, and everything plays smoothly. But there's one thing that I definitely do need to point out. Now guys, you may not know this, but there is a substantially lacking amount of single player content. Let's go deeper into this entire thing. The amount of available modes have decreased, and honestly their quality has also been reduced as well. Team battle is completely gone, which was a staple in these Tekken games, and great fun with friends. Time trial or time attack is completely gone as well. And there is treasure battle there, the mode where you play to unlock cosmetics, gain more money, and be able to get cool costumes and other stuff, and to mainly upgrade the Dan level or your combat level in terms of ability under your name. Treasure battle is there, but it hasn't been really developed much at all, ever since looking back to Tekken 5. And if you continue to keep fighting in the treasure battle, you only fight in that one same arena. The opponents that you fight do change, but there isn't anything different. You'll fight in the same stage every single time. I'll be honest with you guys as well, the arcade mode, which is essentially Tekken 7 Fated Retribution, which is the traditional Tekken arcade mode where you go through the natural path and there's a final boss that you'll fight that has different stages and, does his thing. It's shorter. The arcade mode is honestly just too short. Compared to how it was handled in the other games, it's regressed. There's simply too little stages. It's only 5 battles in total to complete the arcade mode, which is quite short in my opinion. Now guys, let's head on over and switch gears. I want to discuss the main story, the character stories, and the way that the story mode was handled in Tekken 7. I'll start off with the character stories. It's simple to say that this is poor, guys. It wasn't executed well, and honestly they're just far too short. You only play one battle and it's over. No 8-stage arcade style and a cool final boss? Hell nah. It's especially worse if the character story is just some random character. An issue in most of these battles is that all the focus was put on the Mishimas. There is pretty much no story progression for most of the roster other than Steve Fox and a few other characters. Horan losing his eye genuinely doesn't make sense and really just feels super forced and not earned at all. The main story was definitely good, guys, but every other part of the single player content suffered as a result. Now, the main story was actually pretty good in terms of the story. This campaign had the most things happen. I was moved by the story. It moved the story forward more than any other Tekken game in my opinion. It was great to find out the origin of the Mishimas, the Devil Gene, and to realize that Heihachi isn't really just an evil prick. He's actually not too bad. He's actually quite sensible if you think about it in the situation that he was in. Now, the campaign is good, but I'll be honest with you guys, it really needs to be a whole lot longer. The campaign, on average, is a measly 3.5 hours. It can be wrapped up in honestly half a day. Now lads, note I played the game on the hardest difficulty, so it took me a lot longer, but the campaign needed a whole lot more time. Because I played on the hardest difficulty, maybe it took me about double the time, 6 hours, because I had to repeat stages a whole lot of time because yeah, on ultra hard it's definitely really tough. The best moment for me was being able to finally play the Tekken 5 intro in the story mode. You know, the final clash between Kazuya and Heihachi was definitely amazing. The music that accompanied all those scenes were great, and the music, it was so fun that they were able to bring back the Tekken 5 OST for that stage. Whole lot of fun. I've watched that Tekken 5 intro a whole lot of times by myself and with friends, man. It's definitely something that I hold dear to my heart. Now lads, we have definitely mentioned everything regarding the single player content. You know, if you were to consider it, you'd think, okay, content's a wee bit bare bones compared to its predecessors. Okay, makes sense. You know, we're in the modern age. A lot more effort is actually put into the multiplayer and the stuff that you can do with friends. So the multiplayer has got to be fire, right? Right? No, the multiplayer is not fire. And that's for a number of reasons that I'll explain now. The multiplayer is of course varied. It has ranked matches and normal matches and tournament battles, which is fine. There isn't that much that can be done in a fighting game in a multiplayer environment, I'll be honest. That's honestly all they can really do. But my huge issue with Tekken 7 is the atrocious connection and lag issues. It makes Tekken 7 honestly unplayable most of the time. Timing is everything in this game, so if there is a delay, it's almost impossible to play well and block incoming attacks. Bro, there are even videos made on how to deal with Tekken lag. I've heard that Tekken, of course, you know, doesn't have a really good net code, but this has made the online Tekken experience horrible, to be honest. I've played games that are far more intricate in terms of design and gameplay. Mechanics you would think a game such as a Battle Royale like Apex Legends and an open world game like GTA Online, you would think games such as those would have far more issues than Tekken in terms of being able to deal with the servers, deal with the netcode, and deal with these huge amount of players. But no, those games have over 50 players all at once on one map, playing against each other with 100 different firefights going on at once, but lag is very rare in these cases. Now guys, note I played over on the PlayStation 4 and this issue still persists, guys. Like, what in the world is going on? Like, initially this game was a PlayStation 4 exclusive. You guys literally only had to deal with one system, but you can't get the server interactions to be good. Come on man.
Hey bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
So as someone who's played the games that would put a lot more pressure on the servers, I was very disappointed to not have a smooth combat experience online. Now guys, this is a part or topic that I don't really usually cover in my patient gamer reviews, but it's of great importance that I bring and put a large amount of attention on the visuals. Now, I don't usually spend a lot of time on this, but for this game I absolutely had to. Tekken 7 is a direct step down in visuals in comparison to Tekken Tag Tournament 2. This is completely unacceptable for a sequel that came out on a newer and next generation of consoles. I've heard that they've faced multiple issues, importing, character design and other things. Now lads, even if we disregard Tekken Tag Tournament 2, for a game that came out in 2015, the character models are honestly very disappointing. And I'm talking about the character models that are in-game. I'm not talking about the images that we have on the character select and that type. No, I'm talking about the in-game character models. You know, of course, some of them are decent, such as Kazuya, Heihachi, Lars, and a couple of others. But guys, just look at these images that I'm going to put on the screen, and in comparison to Tekken Tag 2 and honestly the older classic games, like, it's definitely a downgrade. You know, PlayStation 4 has had some amazing looking games over the years, especially PlayStation 4 exclusive. This simply doesn't cut it. The UI and menu screen is decent enough, but some more style or personality would have been appreciated. Now, of course, guys, I don't expect Persona 5 levels of style, but something better would have definitely improved the overall look and experience that we had in the game. So, yeah, guys, unfortunately, we've got a number of major issues with Tekken 7 as a whole. We've got a short main campaign, bare bones character stories, ultimately a lack of single player content, an almost unplayable multiplayer experience because of the poor connectivity and lag, and honestly, poor and disappointing visuals. You know, while the stages are definitely decently designed and the environment and stages do look good, but the character models in game are disappointing to say the least. Now guys, before I go ahead and wrap on up and give you guys my final rating of the entire experience, I think it's important that I give you all the information you guys need to make an important patient gamer decisions. Now there are a couple of factors that will determine whether this game will be worth it in your opinion, so I'll give you everything that is noteworthy. First of all, I've mentioned this before, but let's head on over to How Long to Beat to give you the exact numbers on how much playtime you're going to get out of this experience. Now, if you focus just on the main story, probably playing on the normal difficulty, you'll get about 3.5 hours of playtime. Yeah, quite short, like very short to be absolutely honest. If you do some of the side character stories and delve deep and play a little bit of the other single player content, you'll have about 8 hours, and the completionist who wants to play and give a shot to every single nook and cranny will get 19 hours. Now, let's consider the price of this. Let's start over a little bit differently. Let's start over on GG Deals, and we'll consider the Tekken 7 Definitive Edition over on PC. Now, you look over here on official stores, the lowest price that you can get it currently right now is $29.99, but the best current deal you can get right now if you head on over to a key shop is $8.99. Not bad at all. Now, if you guys head over to a PS Deals, this is where personally I check out for the majority of my deals for PlayStation if I'm looking over to purchase a new or older title. Of course, if I can't play it through PS Plus. Tekken 7 is still not on PS Plus. Clearly, they still want you guys to be able to support the game officially by purchasing it. If you make the correct gaming decision, and I will highly recommend you guys do the same, you guys head on over and look at the Tekken 7 the Definitive Edition. This is of course the edition, the latest one that comes out with all the DLC content, including the characters, the skins, stages, and all the extra things, cosmetics, and the rest. The lowest price that you can get for this game, if you're over here in South Africa, is 342 Rand and 24 cents. Not bad at all. And of course, if you're over in the US, the lowest price, of course, make sure you pick this game up on a sale, is $19.19. Definitely not going to be breaking the bank. It's an older game, and it is not going to hurt you monetarily to go ahead and pick this up. Okay, guys, so I've given you guys an overview, my history on Tekken, just every single important aspect of this game. We have given ample time and have talked about this to a great deal. Now, for my overall rating on the entire game, yeah, guys, I'm gonna have to give this some tough love, and I'm gonna have to keep it 1,000 with you. I have to give this a 5 out of 10, average, very average. And as a Tekken veteran and someone who's experienced and played these games before, I think it's very important that I give it this rating, because I'll be honest with you, considering its previous titles, they've completely failed to step their game up. Of course, if we look at it from a different lens, if this is your first Tekken game, you've never played Tekken before, or if we were just to imagine that this was the first Tekken game ever released, of course it would get a much higher rating, but that is not the case. They've made a lot of games before this. In total, I think it's 8 or something, 8 games before Tekken 7. So this is absolutely not their first rodeo, and it is absolutely okay and expected for us to expect more from guys who are so experienced in making fighting games, and this is their bread and butter, and for them not to step their game up and to provide more value in their next successive release is definitely disappointing. I give it a 5 out of 10, and that is my stance. Now understand, guys, I absolutely love Tekken, and I'm still going to play this game even though I've given it more so a mediocre rating overall. Now guys, I love Tekken, and this is why I think it's important that I give it such a mediocre rating, because in my opinion, even though of course I'm certain that they've put a huge amount of hard work into this game, but unfortunately it just doesn't cut it, man. Like, it really just doesn't cut it. Like, for a predecessor of yours that came out on the PlayStation 3, note, yes, it did come out late. It was towards the end of the PlayStation 3's era, but that game is, in my opinion, objectively superior. Of course, the campaign and such and other things that have been added are appreciated, but it just doesn't do enough for us to give it the props and for it to blow me away in any sense. Because I'll be honest with you guys, when I played Tekken 7, I wasn't blown away. I was like, okay, cool, more Tekken. Happy to be able to finally play Tekken again. It had been a few years, but I wasn't blown away at all, and that's honestly very disappointing. And it all started from the visuals, and as I got deeper and interacted with more of the game systems, the disappointment unfortunately grew. So guys, those are my overall thoughts. Guys, note, I am not a hater. Tekken is definitely one of my favorite game series, and without a doubt my favorite fighting game series ever. But I think it's important that we be honest that the series and games that we love have unfortunately dropped the ball. And a part of the motivation of why I even bought Tekken 7 and why I'm making this video today is because Tekken 8 is coming out. Now, I'll be honest, the visuals look absolutely spectacular, and I'm hoping the majority of the issues that I have in this game are going to be solved in that sequel that will definitively solve the Mishima saga. I'm very interested to see how that entire debacle is going to end. Dropped a little bit of a discussion over there on Reddit on how the story is going to wrap up. You know, I wonder if any particular character is going to die. Is it going to be a repeat of the story in this one where Heihachi meets his untimely defeat, or is something else going to happen? Very interested to see. For me personally, I'm hoping maybe there's a way for the devil gene to be eradicated, so I'm very interested and excited for Tekken 8 that is inevitably going to be coming next. Guys, those were my thoughts. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me your thoughts down below. Hope you guys enjoy your day. Take it easy, guys.